Hey everybody at Tarkov. I know we're all trying to escape. I'm not going to try to take too much of your time. I'm Colton, otherwise known as Night Not Lock. I'm over on Twitch. Um, you can actually check me out right here. I stream. I got a lot of VODs up. I'm just getting the YouTube going here. But a little bit about me. It's my first wipe. I'm level 39. I got a 4 KD, 56% survival rate, so just a little bit over half the time I survive, so I do pretty good for myself. But like I said, this is my first wipe. I just kind of want to give some tips and tricks, some bullet points to help specifically with the map customs. I'm wanting to do some more videos like this in the future, kind of breaking down and trying to simplify the PvP, as well as just kind of the understanding of what each map is doing and the flow of the map. I think a lot of us, we load in and we're like, oh, we just go to extract and or try to make it to the extract, or we maybe even get a kill, and we're, because we didn't have the forethought of positioning, are we halfway to extract, are we waiting to that last 3 or 4 minutes and can't get out. I mean, I'm just trying to simplify the game, and starting with that, specifically with customs. It's a map that everybody has probably been on. If you're playing Tarkov, rip if you started out on reserve or interchange, or if that's the case, and customs is going to be a breeze for you. So there's some bullet points I want to cover, but we're going to get right into it. Where your spawn it's going to determine the strategy and the routes you're able to take effectively. I mean, you can do whatever you want when you get in there, but your spawn's going to determine your strategy. Something I just want to throw in there, it's not a bullet point, is there's 1,000 ways to do things. There's 1,000 variables in this game, so you gotta keep that in note. When I say something, it's not one way to do it, okay? One of the strategies I might provide, you couldn't do with an MB5, or you couldn't do with the Mosin. You just gotta keep that in mind going to play for yourself. So the next bullet point would be scavs are going to determine the positions you can take, or the positions that other PMCs or gamers are taking. The next one is something that, for whatever reason, when I was very new to the game, I guess nobody ever said really, was that your specific spawn, kind of like in the old Call of Duty games, if you spawn in a specific location, that means that they're going to spawn in another location in accordance to yours, or vice versa. The next bullet point would be, are you looting or are you shooting? So those are the bullet points we're going to cover. Just wanted to throw that out there. I'm not wanting to take too much of your guys' time, but if we go over, we go over. Bullet point we're going to be discussing now, and the first one we will be discussing is going to have to do with the spawns. Your spawn is determining the strategy and the route you will be taking. And I want to throw in there at the beginning of this that your spawn determines other player spawns. This is something that people didn't really mention to me when I first started playing, i.e. if you spawn on the east side of the map, that means someone spawned on the west side of the map. And I'm going to use this word or this combination of words a lot, but vice versa, because it does go without saying that the opposite or reverse is true. And I will give an example. If you spawn here, someone more than likely spawned there. Go out on a limb. And if they didn't spawn here, they spawned there. So, your spawn determines other player spawns. Now, we're going to get into strategy of these spawns, okay? This is going to be something that reigns true for pretty much any map, but specifically customs, the one this video is about and what we're talking about. If you spawn on the east side of the map, okay, you have 3, but really 1 consistent option every single time, and that is to extract at ZB 1011. Okay, over here, this is the north, south, this is the northwest side corner of the map. Okay, if you spawn on the east side of this map, you have to go there to get out, to escape. Doesn't matter if you kill 5 guys if you don't get out, right? So, I will also give the reverse of the west side. If you spawn over here, over here, over here, over here, or over here, you have two, but mainly one consistent option every time. Crossroads. On the east side of the map, back here in this corner. Sorry, it's not there, it's back here. This is your spawn every time. So if you spawn over here, the entire point, I don't care if you have a task, I don't care if you want to kill every Giga Chad walking around, I don't care if you want to kill Rashala and the gang, your whole point is to get out. And that's where you go to get out. Yes, there is vehicle extract, there is ZB13 in the middle of the map, so on and so forth, there is RUAF. But your spawns determine the strategy, meaning if you spawn on one side of the map, you've got to escape on the other side. Let's dive into that just a little bit more. Just a quick strategy for the people on the east side. If you're on the north side of the map, we'll just cut this in half. This isn't going to be a perfect grid, but it's just for understanding. Stay on the north side of the map. You're going to know what's going on in the north side of the map. If you spawn in this quadrant, the northeast quadrant, okay, you've got a couple of opportunities, a couple of chances, looks, peeks, things you can do. People can spawn in the south, east side of the map, right across from Big Red from you. So you can try to take this fight here. You can, and it's a good one, if you know they spawn. But if no scav spawns, if nothing alerts you, how do you know? You're going to be sitting there for 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, when, you know, all over here and back here, you know, a lot of stuff's going on in other places while you're sitting and waiting for the people that you think may or may not have spawned. So what's a consistent way to get in there, and this again is vice versa, is to get to the middle of the map. This reigns true for board games. This reigns true for games that have to do with the ball, soccer, basketball, football. It goes down in the middle of the map, the middle of the arena, okay? So you spawn here. There's a spawn here at RUAF. You might run into people here who they spawn, turned around, and are looking for you. That's a PvP chance. The closer you encroach on the middle of this map, the more looks, the more clearing, the more opportunity you're going to have to do what we're trying to illustrate in this video, and that is get to a PvP situation or the positions that allow you to do that. Odds that somebody is over here in Crack House, pretty high, right? This is a good place to go. It's a good place to loot. So people are going to be over here in this corner, alright? So stay to the north side of the map. Do you want to go, back it up, do you want to go from this northeast side of the map over here? How would you know that somebody's not sitting right there, sitting right there in a bush, just waiting that somebody comes in, wants to do this little jump into the back side of the two-story, into the bathroom, and, oh, I've got my... You don't know that. What do you know? Well, you spawned here, right, in this area. So this is cleared, right? If you do your job correctly, you're going to move across what we call North Bridge, me and my friends. North, why? Because it's north, and this is the bridge. So North Bridge, just real quick, real simple. Run up here to RUF. If you do your job, you get this cleared. Scavs, gamers, PMCs, the freaking a Yeti, whatever, you get it cleared. Okay, so no one's here. I mean, you just done cleared all this, right? That's almost this entire quadrant, right? So now what do you got to do? And it's possible nobody spawned here. It's possible nobody spawned here. So you could literally run from here all the way into Crack House, which is... I might put it at whatever is first. It's probably the second place everybody wants to go loot. You get good meds, you can get some intelligence, you can get some paper, a flash drive. It's a good place to loot. So it's in the top 3 places to loot on customs. So you could clear all this, never see a soul. You get in here, you loot this up, and now this entire quadrant, short of maybe a scav shooting, you haven't had to deal with anyone. So what you have to go off of what you know. What do you know? No one's here. Now if you get up here at Crack House, I'm not saying people can't be back here, but you haven't had to deal with them. So where does that, you've cut out 25% of the map, which is good. So now you've got Crack House cleared. This is where it starts to get, again, you encroach in the middle of this map. This is the flow of the map. You encroach on that middle part of the map, it's going to get hairy. It's going to get a little bit more sensitive. You're going to have to check everywhere. You're going to have to listen, sound whore, and go through the steps that you know with your combat IQ to effectively get yourself either in the position for PvP or avoid it. You have to use this guide kind of how you want to play or how you play as a person. We'll get to that in the last bullet point. So, now you're encroaching on this area. You're going to have to clear this out. Fort is a huge part of this entire map. Why? It's dead center almost, other than this stupid little parking lot. So, what's happening here? Let's quickly go through this. I don't want to spend too much time on each specific point. It'll be a 40-minute long video. Try to edit this down in post-production. But you're going to get here. Somebody can spawn here and be in there and waiting. They've got your number. Hey, we've got Jim and Joe and Johnny. We got all the J's. They're running from Crack House to freaking Fort every time we go into raid. Why? Because they have to. Unless you pull some sort of freaking prone position, crawl through all of this, and you do a little wiggle in here, and you go extract, you're gonna run into these boys at Fort. Okay? So, you got people spawning here. Boom. You have to use audio cues. Are they fighting scavs already in Fort? Are they fighting scavs at Old Gas immediately off spawn? These are things you have to determine in your specific raid. But in general, Fort is going to be something that there's already a player either in there or coming to there, right? So, just a quick little thing. So let's say you get this cleared. Where are you looking to go? Well, extract's right here. If it's got the green gas on, Old Gas, you can extract, oh, you get out. Situation over. Old Gas isn't open, ZB12 isn't open. You're coming back to this back corner, okay. Each raid's different. Man, I've gotten in 3 raids in a row, I've only fought people back here. 3 raids in a row, I've fought people back here. It's all there's variables, right? So, you've got Fort cleared, Old Gas isn't open, you do your little jump over here. Oh, I know the meta jump. You get up on tracks, you're running down here. Has there been scavs shooting back here? This gets into, I think, our 3rd bullet point, or gets into our 2nd bullet point, but is there been some shooting back here? You know, there's 2 spawns back here. Stay with what you know. Listen for what you know. If you haven't heard anything from this quadrant, somebody's over there and they're slipping through. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. 12 people, 10 people can spawn customs, and I'll say a 3-man spawns over here. That's 3 guys. We'll say a 2-man spawns over there. That's 5. And we'll just do it again. We'll put 3 over here and 2 over here. So what is that, 10? These guys run to dorm. Oh, I've got a dorm spawn. If you haven't heard anything over here, these guys are being silent, these guys are being silent, and these guys are being silent. But look, you know, so far, no scavs have been alerted. You've cleared this quadrant. That's what we know. You gotta go back to that. You gotta think, okay, if I've cleared that, then that means, and why is that so important, is because that means that they are everywhere else. That means that you are not safe. The moment you leave Fort, you sat in here for 10 minutes, didn't hear a thing in Fort. Now you heard some shooting at dorms. There's always shooting at dorms. That means they're sitting there on the tracks, right here, waiting for you to come out. They're over here at West. That's where you got to be looking. You got to be looking at those 2 places. Could be sitting here in a power window. This is power building where you go to turn on the extract, and they're about to snipe you as soon as you go out. Few places to check, okay? So, vice versa. If you're coming from over here, yada yada yada, you've looted Old Gas, you've looted USEC, Warehouse 5. You've got to be careful from Crack. You've got to be careful from this little, what we call blue jump, if you're in Fort. And that's that's assuming you didn't run into the Giga Chad that's sitting over here in Fort, right? So let's go to the south side of the map. So in my opinion, if you want consistent raids, and you guys got to understand, there's stashes all through here that you can hit. If you're not running into any PMCs, there's stashes that you can hit on these little northern routes. Consistency. Boom, boom, boom. Go in, go in, go in, hit them. We'll run through the southerns. So these guys, a lot of people, and I don't run dorms. I'm thrown out there. I got my tasks done. I don't go over that place. It's desync central. It's lean peak. It's everybody who plays over there is more experienced than me, and I just die. Whether I have a Vector or M1A, I just don't go over there. But a lot of people, and if you have a task or you want to get in more of those fights, win lose doesn't matter. You want experience. You gotta get to dorms. Gotta get to 3-story. Why? Because this is about the closest you're going to spawn to it. That's why, going back to the original bullet point, your spawn's going to determine what you get to do in the game. You spawning here and getting to old gas immediately without running into people from over here, not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. The flow of the game is that these people and these people are going here, these people are going here. So where you guys intersect, these are the hot zones, okay? So if you spawn back here, maybe run over to dorms, maybe slip into East Construction and look elbow. This is a call out I have for me and my friends. We call this elbow. Why? It's a 90 degree. Looks like an elbow, right? Looks like an elbow. So you get up here in East, provided there's no scavs scattered throughout here. Again, that's our second bullet point we're going to cover in this video. You get in here, you check Crack House Lane, you look west. A lot of times people on the south spawn over here, the southwest spawn, they'll slip down here and get into West Construction. They're looking at Fort. Here, let me back this up. They're looking at Fort. They're looking at East. They're looking for you over here. Okay? So these are things you got to keep in mind when you're spawning over here in the southeast side. Also, who says if you hate going to dorms, you can get a lot of kills just hanging out? I call this 3-story hill. Because as you know, the East dormitory has 3 stories. We call this 3-story hill. This is 2-story hill. You can hang out back here, running the outskirts. You can hang out over here at bus stop and get some decent loot, some decent kills. Not like ground loot or boxes, but you know, finding these players who are kind of roaming around in here. It's a good spot to hang out for those southern spawns. Alright guys, so for our next bullet point, we're going to be talking about how scavs are going to be determining positionings that you or other players are going to be taking. Let me remove this arrow. We're going to work on this video in quadrants, and we're going to be working in different quadrants for different bullet points. So I talked a lot about the northern side and these northern quadrants, so we'll just kind of go over the south. So for this southwest quadrant, you're going to want to keep in mind that if you spawn somewhere over here, and these are zones, okay? Just like in football and basketball, we're dealing with zones, generalizations, okay? You're gonna have scavs at checkpoint, okay? You're gonna have scavs at new gas. Let's depict them in circles. You're gonna have scavs here, potential for scavs here, and actually right here in the west area, this is all in the same quadrant. You've got a lot of scavs that spawn over here, okay? And scavs here. So assuming you're suppressed, you have a suppressor on your gun, you're going quiet, as we'd like to say, whatever. If you can take these scavs out without this side of the map hearing you, okay? That means you come in here, you spawn, and sometimes scavs spawn immediately, sometimes they take 5 minutes to load in. Nobody knows. You shoot these guys. you shoot the one scav that's always hanging out USEC. You can slip up into here without somebody specifically knowing that you're going into these different sectors or places of the map, okay? A scav you always have to look out for is Sniper Scav, and he hangs out up on this tower up here. There's a Sniper Scav as well over here, but this one doesn't spawn as often. So this scav right here, if he's shooting and someone, let's say on 2-story hill here, hears that he's plinking ya over here at New Gas, that's what I mean by scavs determine positioning. Because now, 1, your position's been blown, and 2, your whole I was gonna sneak up over here is gone. So that's how they can kind of determine. Now, for your enemy, it's almost that vice versa I was talking about. The opposite can remain true for you. So again, we'll split it down the middle. We'll throw a west in the southwest region of this quadrant. If you had this spawn, and to me this is a very good route to take, you slip over the tracks here, you run down, you don't go to 2-story dorms, and you try to get in here to west. Well, a scav that hangs out here, if you don't kill him, and this is what I was talking about, if you don't kill him, and somehow, some way, you know, they're hanging out over here at bus stop, you slip in there without A, alarming him to shoot at you, or in at best case scenario, even yell at you, but he doesn't shoot at you, he doesn't alarm, and you leave him alive. Now, what do you get to do? Let me get a little bit better of a color here. We'll just go with black. Anybody who's trying to sneak up on you back here, you're gonna get to know about, because you left him alive and you got into position based on if he starts shooting somebody and he's not shooting you. What does that immediately mean? He's shooting somebody, he's shooting a gamer. So now it's almost like a little alarm system that you left him alive. And that's why it's a very important point to know where scavs spawn and how to play off of them. If you're running through, we'll go from the same area. If you're running through and your whole point is to get to fort, just shoot the scavs, you know what I mean? Just get in, get out, or don't. Run right by them. If we'll zoom in real close here to pieces of cover. If there's one on the other side of this little truck right here, don't run down this road. Go around Warehouse 5, avoid them, and get to fort silently. They can determine your positions and the routes you take. If you're unsuppressed, which I'm not somebody who believes you should, one's right or wrong. If you're solo, you should try to put a suppressor on that gun. If it's gonna eat your ergo, or you don't have the money for it, then run unsuppressed. I mean, it's not gonna make or break, but when you shoot, these people over here are gonna hear you and hear where you're at, right? That's kind of the whole point with the scavs, is when they shoot their little alarm systems, their information, you're telling other players where you are, or in your benefit where other players are. So if you hear a bunch of shooting at west and you spawned here and you're like, oh, I'm gonna run my little route, maybe you have gas station office key, you hit the safe, now you're coming up here onto the tracks. If you just heard some shooting, and I do mean within the last 5 minutes, I know that's a long span of time when a Call of Duty game only lasts 5 minutes, sit on these tracks. Look with your scope, if you've got one, right into fort. Or, not fort, west construction, west scaffolding. Look up there. Hang out for a minute. You don't have to just run in here all willy-nilly and go, where is the guy at? And if that's how you play, then boom, bingo, there you go. You just heard him kill a scav, run up in that jaunt. Get in there. So that's where bullet point 2 was kind of quick. I just wanted to touch on it, but it's an important part of Tarkov. It's an important part of Customs specifically because the map is smaller than the other ones. Shoreline, Interchange, maybe not, I don't know, reserved to Customs, but you know, it's smaller than Woods per se. So just because you hear something, it doesn't mean that it's out of shot, that it's out of reach, that the information isn't necessary to you. Okay, so that's why scavs play a big role in determining positions and routes you're taking or your enemy is taking. Okay guys, so I've got the quadrant that we're going to work with now, and that is going to be the southeast quadrant of the map. I'm trying to go in each little section of the map for different strategies. This is our third bullet point, and that is, are you looting or are you shooting? Meaning, are you just going in there for a quick loot run? You trying to hit some stashes, trying to hit some buildings, some boxes, and get out? Or are you trying to PvP? You're trying to get somebody's kit, somebody's rig, gun, so on and so forth. For this, I'm gonna go over the PvP because this spawn in this little quadrant over here isn't the best for looting. So we'll go over PvP. If you're a PvP guy, this spawn where the X is, we call it Smuggler's Boat. That's an extract there. Also, I believe this is called Sniper Roadblock. It's an extract as a scav. Immediate PvP push. Third story dorm. 2-story dorm. 100%, if not 90%, if not 100% of the time, you're going to get in a fight right here. So if you get this spawn, look to go to dorms if you're wanting to PvP. If you're also wanting to PvP, get this spawn. You're going to be able, if they didn't spawn here, and even if they did, and these two spawns in the northeast side of the quadrant of the map, and even if they did, that's even better for you. Slip over here through hole 2, what I call hole 2, or no, okay, on the map this would be hole 3. Slip through here, hole 3, get into east, maybe even get up east, look elbow. Now, experienced players are not going to take this 2-story door of Crack House and open it because it means they're there. For you, if you see that's open, bingo, that's where they're at. Get over here in a Crack House and check it out. Get this locked down. Whether they're there or not, someone will be getting there. Now, something that either patience, or if you don't have it, I'll give you the latter. But if you have patience, sit in Crack House. Why? Because this spawn that I talked about early in the video, where did I tell all these people to go? Right here. They're gonna come shake hands with you. They're gonna come meet you over there, okay? So that's a good spot to get to. If you don't have the patience after you've locked this down and haven't already gotten a fight, where do we look? Fort. Because this spawn, you can make your spawn over here fight these guys over here. Meet them at fort, man. Boom, boom. Get in a fight. If you're a little bit like me and you don't like to take on that head fight, slip into east, do clear what you need to clear here, and get into west because you can snipe or determine if anyone ever gets into stronghold. If you pop a SJ6, SJ1, or you have good endurance, you can just run down this street, typically uncontested, get into fort, or get into West Construction, and look across the track for these guys or these guys coming here. Now, like I said, we'll say vice versa a lot. If you're these guys over here in this quadrant, this is northwest side of the quadrant, get out here, either get into fort and look this way, or get in here, run straight to east, get up top east, and look for these boys coming down this road. There is a fight in these two spots for this spawn right here. So these are what I'm talking about when we're talking about really trying to get in there in PvP. This is why the intersections in the middle of the map are going to happen in the middle of the map. Dorms, it's in the middle, latitude or longitude way. It is in the middle here. But what you have to keep in mind is it's kind of out of the way. It's kind of just on that southern south side, and the fights that happen here generally stay there. You know, people are going to take car extract and just dip. If you're going to go fight there, bring some rubles, and if it's open, take car extract and dip. So this section, really, this should be a whole sector by itself, because this is where your fights are going to go down. I'll show you why that matters, because these people are going to be fighting these people. If you're over here, you're going to be fighting people from over here. If you're over here, you can fight these people, so forth. If you're coming from this spawn and you get up here into west, you can see through the window with a good scope, a razor, a voodoo, even an Elcan, to be honest with you, or a Valde, you can see into Crack House. If the lighting is perfect, you can literally kill someone from over here into there with a clean headshot. They stop moving. So that's why this intersection here, this middle of the map, is so important for PvP and getting in a zone. When it comes to your specific raid, you gotta play it by ear. If they're shooting scavs in fort, and you're in east, looking at like 2-story hill or something, or down this road, then you're not looking for PvP, because if you are, then you'd slip over here. There is a broken down blue fence, we call it blue jump. Get across this thing and try to wiggle your way in here to get into fort. If they're in fort and you're in west, this catwalk, I play this catwalk all the time. People will reposition outside of fort and you can kind of just get some shots in. So that's going to be a shooting type momentum. Obviously, if it doesn't go down in the middle of the map and it's going on back here, we call this overlook, this little area, you might have to spawn here and book it all the way down here. It's real dependent, but these are the positions you're going to want to look to take to get in PvPs. Either you wait or you running to those spots knowing a scav's alarmed them. There are already some PvP going on. These are positions that you can look at to get into PvP. You spawning Big Red and going up into Big Red, I think that's like the director's key or something, and sitting there. While you can do that, and you will get a kill, I'm not going to say you won't. You play a waiting game, you're more of a sniper, you get in a spot, you wait. You're going to wait a long time. Why? Because you're gonna be hoping someone just wants to go into Big Red. I mean, that's not even a spot to camp Crossroads from. So there's certain places on the map. Sitting back here, it's kind of a dead zone. I'll show a few dead zones, typical dead zones. Big Red. It's hard to say. Okay, this right here is a typical dead zone. I've gotten kills right here. I'm not saying I haven't, but you know, just general dead zones. You can't even mark this over here. This specific area, most of the time, is a dead zone. I don't see a lot of fights happening here. All these places I'm marking, I've been in a fight there. I'm just talking about consistency. This is a threshold here, so that's not one. I would say this is a lively spot. Lively spot, of course. I mean, that's dorms. That's, of course, a lively spot. Right in here, east and west, huge spot. Huge spot. And I'm going to kind of just mark this little connector between east and RUAF because this is a route some people take. So, again, it's that middle of the map for PvP. Now, on to looting. You're wanting to loot. You've played DayZ. You don't play Valorant. You know, you're running around. You played. I guess Arma isn't really a loot game, but you know, you play games that you play Rust. There's some PvP, but you're looking to grab some loot. Maybe do your scav tasks, so on and so forth. We'll go with this one because this is my personal favorite route and place to spawn in to get loot, and that's back here. The reason I marked this, even this spawn here, is because this building here, USEC, great building. There's a tech spawn, second story. There's some stocks, some stuff in the second story on the south side. Furnace room, really good. This warehouse here, really good for loot. You've got a stash here. You've got a stash here. I mean, this is 15% or less of the map. I don't really hit these buildings. There is loot in these buildings, so don't go off there. You've got 2 stashes here. If there wasn't a spawn hit, you've got a stash back here, a stash back here. So you hit these, you run through here, You run through here. If you're not trying to PvP, don't go into fort. We know this. And this is where it gets tricky, because you have to determine based on, I mean, this isn't a guide for your first raid, right? But if you've gotten some experience, you've heard some noise, so on and so forth, slip out through here, get out to RUAF, get out. If there's shooting going on here in an elbow, maybe hit this stash, run back up under this power building, go under here, hit catwalk, hit the top of west, and slip out kind of down this road, and again get to RUAF. But this is a great spawn over here in this northwest side of the map to kind of get loot and get out. Here, if you spawn up here, you've got loot here, you've got loot new gas, maybe some scavs over here to loot, so maybe you swing down here, hit new gas, slip through here, there's stashes here, maybe a stash back in here, and you can kind of just run through here, and then if you're wanting more loot, this is a blue building down here, hit this, call this south blue, because I doubt anybody will be down here. Slip through here, hit north blue, and run and hit all trailer park back here, and then get out at crossroads. So I would recommend, if you're loot running, learn the stashes. They're going to really help you, because people are looking to go to zones. They're looking to go to an area. They're not really stash running. They're not really trying to hit these specific loot areas. They're going to hit them if they're there. You know, people who spawn here are going to hit the 2 here, and probably this one, and maybe even this one. But if you're running the same route, you've probably hit all this, and realistically, if it's a $2,000 item or a $80,000 item, you know, just keep moving, get some loot, get into the next raid. That's kind of how loot runs work. You're not making or breaking. You're not putting yourself in a position to die, and you're not, you know, if you find a GPU, you find a GPU, but it's not the end of the world. You're just running through 5 or 6 raids for the night and just trying to get out with your life. So you got to determine what you're doing, why you're going into the raid. And that pretty much sums it up, guys. I really hope that you liked those 3 points. As you can see, we're in a little bit different of a spot from last time I recorded. I did make the video a little bit previously, but I do hope you guys got enough out of it. Those 3 main bullet points are super important to me when it comes to PvP. In my experience and in my opinion, I do believe that PvP is one of the most important parts of this game. I think if you know how to do tasks, if you scav, if you're doing for loot, if you got keys, whatever it may be other than fighting other people, if you're consistently dying, that's going to obviously hurt your game. So I really do believe that PvP is one of the, if not the most important aspect of this game, and learning how to aim, learning where to position yourself, most importantly, is going to help you. I don't know if I specifically said this statement in the video, but if your aim is lacking, you can put yourself in position to account for that. So even more importantly than aim, positioning is almost super, super key. So hopefully with this guide, you guys can kind of start to see some of those lines and some of those routes that I was talking about taking. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or discrepancies in this video or about this video, don't hesitate to comment, and hopefully I'll be bringing you guys some more.